Hello, everybody. You've tuned into the Indiana State Police Roadshow, brought to you by the Indiana State Police Alliance. Cops are Kids, subsidiary of the Indiana State Police Alliance. We want to thank them for their continued support of the Indiana State Police Roadshow. And we're back on YouTube. We're back on the air. My good friend and colleague, Tom Trial, wave to the camera. Tom is back from his extended stay off the air, and he's got us back on YouTube. Tom, we're glad to have you back and glad to see your health is back to 127%. So good to have you here, buddy. Showing the scars. With me today is First Sergeant Ty Utterback from the Commercial Vehicle Enforcement Division of the Indiana State Police. He's been with us before and talked about things that the CVED is doing. And we had some things come up here recently that I approached Ty about, coming in to talk to us about. And so we'll jump right into that. Ty, thank you for coming. I appreciate you being here.
Hey, it's always a pleasure.
It's been a lot of fun here hearing about Tom's trials over the last several weeks, isn't it?
Yeah, that sounds like quite a trip.
Well, tell us a little bit about your about what we're talking about that maybe some people have called in and questioned you guys about, and you've had a lot of calls, it sounds like, at the Commercial Vehicle Enforcement Division.
We kind of got, I don't want to bash another agency, but we got kind of blindsided on a couple letters that got sent out, and obviously it had something to do with what we enforce with the trucks and the buses, and well, first of all, one of them had it was a letter telling all these organizations or individuals that have a bus or some passenger carrier vehicle. The Bureau of Motor Vehicles had in their system that they owned what's known as a special purpose bus. Now, that term special purpose bus has a state law definition that's, you have a special purpose bus if you meet this definition.
Okay.
And you may or may not have a vehicle just like that, but it may not be a special purpose bus because of the way you use it. So that's really key here. It's not just a very specific vehicle. It actually kind of is, but
it's a specific vehicle, but the way you use it has got to be taken into account also.
For example, you may have what was originally built and designed as a school bus or used for a school.
Okay.
Once the school gets done with it, they move on to something newer and better. Then it's still got a lot of good years and miles on it. Some church or boys club or some other organization gets a deal on it. Now they're using it.
Okay.
So because now it's no longer being used by a school to transport students to and from a school or in activities for that school, it's still a bus. It's just not a special purpose bus under that very specific state law definition.
Okay. All right. So then they would fall under different rules and regulations.
Yeah. So the Department of Education, Indiana Department of Education, along with our division, our agency, obviously have established an inspection process and program that's conducted by Indiana State Troopers, and that's by statute, by Indiana State law. Our troopers have to inspect every school bus and what's known as a special purpose bus.
Okay.
And so this special purpose bus gets put in line with all those big yellow school buses to get this inspection done. And that has to be done. Now, if it is a vehicle that's not used like that, it may need an inspection, but it's not done under that Department of Education inspection process by a state trooper.
I see.
And so that's where some of the confusion, because the letters are going out saying, hey, BMV feels like, according to our records, you have a special purpose bus, so therefore if you do, you need to get it inspected by state police before you get it re-registered or registered for the first time.
Is that going out, do you think the reason maybe partially for the confusion is because it says special purpose bus on the registration, that went out to everybody?
I think because there's been some changing in the definitions that the Bureau of Motor Vehicle had done to Title IX of our state law.
Right.
And there was some tweaking and some. I'm not sure if everything's been hashed out exactly how that law should read, or maybe there might have been a few errors in the first draft of that law. But so I don't know exactly. I can't speak for the
Right.
BMV, but I know that they've got a lot of these phone calls been coming in from someone who's gotten this letter and they actually do not have a special purpose bus. So it could have been something where a BMV clerk had to get something entered into a computer at one time at the time when they titled it or registered it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't really know what the culprit is there, but bottom line is
They may or may
BMV
not
records show them as having that, and unless they go down to the branch and explain to them that, no, I do have this vehicle, it's not used as a special purpose bus, so therefore I'm not going to get this state police inspection.
What would be that definition? What would they have to use that for, that they would fall in line that they need the state police inspection?
Well, first of all, there's a federal motor vehicle safety standard spec that the vehicle has to meet. It's actually in Title 20, which is the school bus section of the state law, where it defines that term, special purpose bus. And bottom line is it's being used to transport school children for a school function. So easiest way to describe it is it's not a yellow bus with a stop arm, but it looks like one of those kind of sawed off, cut down smaller versions of a school bus, kind of a boxy look to it. And, they call it a multifunctional activity vehicle, I believe is the proper term for it. But
and those would still fall into that.
If they're used by the school,
right,
that is what is a special purpose bus.
Okay.
And they're supposed to get a plate that says special purpose bus on it.
Okay.
And they're not supposed to get that plate until they've had the state police inspect it. So it's supposed to be kind of a checks and balance here. Problem is the vetting process of whether or not they actually should be a special purpose bus or not is not getting I guess that's what we're doing right now. That's getting hashed out kind of the hard way.
It's getting vetted right now.
Yeah.
So you said they may still need to be inspected, though, even they're not a special purpose bus, but it wouldn't be by us. Where would they get that done?
So that would be indicating that they would be using a vehicle that would be in a fashion that's making them subject to the federal motor carrier safety regulations. And if that's the case, then part of those regulations is having an annual inspection completed. And that would be just simply done by any qualified inspector that is, basically the vendor, some vendor like a commercial vehicle dealership or mechanic shop somewhere.
Okay.
They have somebody that meets those qualifications to conduct that annual inspection.
Do we maintain a list of those? Can we?
We don't.
Okay.
No, we don't. I mean, that's and really the qualifications for that they're in the federal regulations.
Okay.
And they're not so stringent to where you have to go to us or the feds and get on a list or get a certificate. You just have to be able to document that you've got experience and knowledge and how, basically a year's worth of experience and knowledge on how to perform these inspections.
Okay. So they could get it done in a dealership or something like that.
Every city or town just about has somebody that does that. Yep.
Yeah. Well, again, you've tuned into the Indiana State Police Roadshow, brought to you by the Indiana State Police Alliance and Cops Are Kids, a subsidiary of the Indiana State Police Alliance. My guest is First Sergeant Ty Utterback with the Commercial Vehicle Enforcement Division, and we're talking about some rules and regulations. It had a little bit of controversy in how some letters went out to some people with some special purpose buses that may or may not actually need an inspection by a Indiana State police officer. So if they have any questions, is that on the website that they can look up this information?
We didn't even really have a chance. Like I said, we kind of got hit by this by all of a sudden, one call, then 2 calls, then 100 calls. And finally, I was smart enough. I got a guy, hey, look, can you send me a copy of this letter? And it says right in there, you need to contact state police to get an inspection. I'm like, okay. So we've basically been, for those people, been kind of going through the vetting process on the phone. So calling our division is going to be 317-615-7373.
And you guys can help them out with that kind of, what do you use it for and how do you do it?
And we also have the CVED info and help email. It's on the ISP website.
Okay, great. Well, let's jump to another topic too that I received a letter about myself. Farm plates.
Yeah. Well, all right. So, and I truly believe the Bureau of Motor Vehicles is trying to simplify and improve their product. They're tasked with trying to provide registration and titling for a variety of vehicles.
Absolutely.
And it's ever changing.
Yes.
But one of the next letters that's gone out, and we're really, this is the renew your plate season.
Absolutely.
And so that's what's happening here. And the Bureau of Motor Vehicles, again, I don't want to speak for them, but I truly believe that they sent these letters out trying to inform those who currently have a registration that's due for renewal about some changes, and it was changes that were accomplished by changing state law that's allow them to change their fee chart for the types of plates and how plates are broken down by different weight classifications. So they've always sold truck and truck tractor plates based on what they call a declared gross weight. So the idea is that you're paying a little bit more for a plate that says I'm going to probably carry up to this much weight. Now that doesn't mean how much weight you have on, but that just means that when I load up, my total gross weight of the vehicle and everything with it is going to be somewhere at this level.
When you go across the scales, it's going to say
that's the number it's going to read. We can't break down when you come across a set of scales. We get one number, maybe two, but depending on we get per axle. But we can't differentiate between hey, I've got a little bit more loaded or a little bit less loaded, or the load weighs this and the big guy in the passenger seat weighs that. No, it's all inclusive. So they've changed the parameters of what these weight limitations that they sell plates. So one of the bigger, affected would be that's a lot of the calls is, say, like, for example, a triaxle dump truck. So a triaxle dump truck by state law can only gross out at 68,000 pounds. They used to sell a plate that read 66,000 plus. That means that was the biggest plate they sell.
Okay.
£8,000. Well, now they don't sell a 66 plus plate. They sell either a less than or equal to 78,000 or a greater than 78,000. And they totally, don't have anything that says 66 plus. Well, a lot of the calls coming in, okay, so now can I carry 78,000 pounds and be legal? Well, you would not be in violation of your registration law. However, you're probably going to have about 5 other violations.
Yeah. So that's another one that you guys are receiving all kinds of calls on.
Having to explain that out.
Yeah.
Nothing.
I appreciate you coming in here and talking to us about this new plate law and how they do it. And I'm sure you're going to get a lot more questions there at the CVD office.
I will. And I'm always amused on how time flies with you here, Rich.
It just goes quick, doesn't it?
It does.
Well, again, you've been listening to the Indiana State Police Roadshow, brought to you by the Indiana State Police Alliance and Cops for Kids, a subsidiary of the Indiana State Police Alliance. My guest today has been First Sergeant Ty Utterback with the Commercial Vehicle Enforcement Division. We've been talking about some plate restrictions and some plate changes with the BMV. Contact the Commercial Vehicle Enforcement Division if you have any questions. Thank you for listening to the Road Show. We'll catch you next week. Road Show out.